doing? Well, welcome back to another video. This is the final match day of the quarterfinals of my Bookish Asian Cup, and hot off the heels of South Korea earning their place into the semi-finals. We have Japan going up against the Philippines, and with all of them I'm going to try to do it quite short, explain the book and say good and bad, and my result. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it with Japan, and the entry is a Miss Ice Sandwich by Miyako Kawakami, and this is translated from Japanese by Louise Heel Kawai. This is very slim, very slight, very sparse, I would say. It's very short novella. It is actually part of an original two-part series that was called I can't remember now. I had it somewhere. Akogare, with the other book Strawberry Jam minus Strawberry, which I believe focuses on the main character and his best friend, Tutti. But don't quote me on that. I think that's what it was. So it does kind of feel like one half of something, but it does sort of in some ways round up to something at the end. But yeah, I did enjoy this book a lot. I felt like it was very calming in a sense, and it was just easy to read and follow, but maybe I wanted a little bit more. It's following an unnamed narrator, I believe, this 10-year-old boy, and is written in sort of like a stream of consciousness kind of way, which I felt was done quite well via his like lens, and his sort of like obsessions and how they're quite quiet, specifically with the blue eyelids of the woman that works behind this ice sandwich counter at like a convenience store, who he calls me an ice sandwich, and he just like wants to watch her put these sandwiches into bags and sort of like focus on sort of like little details and things, and that is part of the story. But then also his mother and some like reservations there, and his ailing grandma, who has like an illness, and sort of like the grief in some ways of coming to the end of like her life and his thoughts on that, and also the like nice relationship he has with his classmate Tutti. Yeah, it's just about like, I guess here is what it says well, a poignant depiction of the naivety and wisdom of youth just as it's passing, as he's coming to that age of like pre-adolescence, I guess. So yeah, the points that I said was like the writing style, stream of consciousness, his little obsessions, like quiet obsessions, I mean, the friendship and the warmth in that regards, and then some of these like poignant undercurrents to do with his personal family. And then the negatives is a little like momentum to really push the story forward because of, I guess, how it's written, and also some emotional distance between a few of the characters and like how it goes along, and how it is just quite quiet and sparse and sort of maybe lacking something fully, but it's an enjoyable read. It reminds me a little bit of Elisa Sudrusipin's works, Winter in Sokcho, and the Pachinko Parlor, and also another one, if I can see it on my shelves, I don't know where it would be exactly. Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au, I believe, where they're just sort of quiet books that don't really do much or have too much of a plot, but they can sort of sit with you, and they're all quite short works. So yeah, that's Miss Ice Sandwich. Sort of my fault, sorry, it's not really that good. And then the Filipino entry for we had The Sacrifice by Rinju Peko. The author is I want to say non-binary. I'm pretty sure she's Chinese They are Chinese Filipino, and were raised in the Philippines, and it's sort of like an own voices tale. This I didn't really like. I think there's definitely some very good bits, also some very bad parts. That's why some of my notes aren't the best. But this is following the story of this like curse on this like isolated Philippine island called Kisap Mata, and the main character. Why can I not remember any names at all? I don't think does it say on here. Alon, sorry, and I believe they're non-binary as well, but then most people call them he, but it's not like their identity isn't fully came across. It's just sort of there in a sense. But anyway, they are sort of like the custodian in some sense of this island and like keeping it sort of how it is, because there's the historical like facts or things as like history things, that people have gone there and have like died in like weird circumstances, or like it's attracted like cults and like Spanish conquistadors and different deaths and stuff on the island. But this Hollywood movie crew wants to go there and like shoot a film, and they enlist Alon to be like their guide and like tell about like the folklore and like the history and things like that. And then when they get there, things start going weird and a bit spooky and things. I desperately wanted to DNF this book many times. I didn't. I stuck through with it because I thought maybe it would be a bit of a payoff, and it was quite fast moving because of the genre. It's sort of like a YA horror thrillery sort of thing, folkloric tale. The movie crew and learning about like the different folklore and like the like traditional Filipino like gods and Dayawata, and like their beliefs and like nature and sort of like sort of like the clashing of the cultures, and also like a sort of subplot romance with one of the like the son of one of the like producers or something that's come there, and sort of like Alon's life as well there. That's kind of like the plot. Like I don't want to say too much obviously because of like the nature of what the book is. I wouldn't really recommend it personally. I feel like it was fine. There is definitely some good parts, but it just is also a little kind of like, it is easy to read and sort of follows and sort of nearly each chapter ends on a cliffhanger, so you're like, okay, I'll pick up the next one. But at the same time it's a little bit of a slog because of just like it's quite irritating. But yeah, my good and bad points, this atmospheric setting of this like island and like the tales and stuff, this rich Philippine folklore, which I think is embedded very well, and they are the best parts of the book, and they really like make you want to like look up different things about these different gods and like different beliefs and stuff, and this idea of this like balletry, and how people like go and say like, oh, thank you for letting me come here because they believe a god is living in there, and different like other like ideologies and beliefs surrounding the different trees and different like the gods like that are prevalent in the book. And it's sort of like clash of culture between like the native Filipinos there and this like Hollywood people coming in and sort of just like, oh, I'll just splash all the cash and I can get what I want because I'm American and I'm gonna do this, and yeah. And then the negatives, the characters are quite unlikable. I didn't really like Alan was okay, Chase was alright, which is like the sort of love interest, and a few other characters, but nearly all of the like Hollywood people are sort of copy paste generic. They all are exactly kind of like the same, and it's hard to really distinguish who's who, who's talking, things like that. I just didn't care for them. I didn't really like them. I just, yeah, it was just like, yeah, I didn't want to be in their company. There are quite a few technical like editing issues, like some spelling of things, and also like characters you don't really know who it's referring to, and like they have different nicknames as well, and like the different pronouns used towards different people, specifically Alon, and how like they sort of change, and it just didn't feel that like finalized. And then also quite a few like dull subplots. There are some okay ones with regarding different of the different characters and sort of like how things fit together, but yeah, just sort of like the whole thing was quite confusing, like different plot points and trying to follow them, and the whole like climax scene of how it ends was just not really, I don't really like it. But yeah, I think there's, yeah, like I said, some good parts, some bad parts. Now I will go to the real match and be back in a sec. Japan versus Philippines. Come on, Japan. But I do also love the Philippines. I was really happy that Japan won. And I think from how I've been speaking about these two books, I think it's clear who's going to win. But the way it ended up was I gave 1 goal each for characters, because like the actual like how they're done in this book are okay. I just didn't really like any of them, but they are quite generic. And in here there is some distances to do with them, but then Japan got the other goals for plot, writing, enjoyment and impact, and it did end 5-1 to Japan, so they will be progressing to the semi-finals. I gave Miss Ice Sandwich 3.75, so decent score, or rating, and I gave The Sacrifice 2.5 stars, so they will be going home. But the Philippines did really well. I'm really happy that they were in the matches, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video of all the other ones in the quarterfinal series. Stay tuned for the semi-grand and third place matches to come, possibly tomorrow, I don't know. See you soon. Have a nice one, even like wherever you are in the world. Bye.